it's Lo.
Hi, I'm Hayleigh.
And we are Wrestling Winedown. On this week's episode, we're going to be covering all the matches and moments that we loved about Stomping Grounds,
as well as our word on the street and new changes within WWE. So grab your glass of wine.
We're going in for the 3 count. Stomping Grounds was actually a pretty good pay-per-view. I know on our last episode I said that a lot of people aren't interested in the WWE product right now, and that this pay-per-view had really good matches, and overall I think it was really good. I think a lot of people were satisfied with, the content that they were provided, and I think WWE is trying.
Yeah, no, there were some great moments, there were some weird moments, but overall, this was one of the better pay-per-views that I've seen recently. So one of my favorite moments of the night was actually the very first match of the pay-per-view, which was Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. So in our prediction episode, we both thought that Becky Lynch would win, and I'm glad that she did. I feel like they have put Lacey Evans on the back burner for so long, and just with her walking in and out of WWE's weekly shows, and when she gets out in the ring, she really doesn't have the experience that Becky Lynch has. So it's weird to see them fight together when they're not really comparable. But I think that this match was pretty good with the drama that's led up to it and everything like that. And obviously how the pay-per-view ended, it just led up to that.
I thought it was a good match, too. I think Becky and Lacey are starting to really understand each other's styles in the ring. It seemed like with a lot of the moves that they were doing, the other one knew how to combat it or have a maneuver to, get out of it. The end of the match was really good. I thought Becky did a great job at locking the disarmer in. It was something that I think a lot of us, including myself, I didn't expect her to win like that fast. I mean, the match was a pretty good amount of time, but you didn't expect her to do that from, the top rope.
Right, no, it was a solid match. It was really good.
A match that I really liked was the Ricochet versus Samoa Joe match. Ricochet ended up picking up his first WWE title, which is the United States Championship from Samoa Joe. This match was interesting. I thought Ricochet did a really good job starting off, having the advantage over Samoa Joe, and then it seemed like the whole middle of the match, Samoa Joe took it to him. I mean, obviously Samoa Joe had the size advantage, but at the end of the day, Ricochet hit his 630 finisher, and that was it. It was a 3 count. We went in for the 3 count, and so did Ricochet, and he picked up his title.
My favorite thing about these two competitors fighting together is they have different moves. So Ricochet is more of the flying type. He'll jump off of things. And Samoa Joe is bigger and does more tactical moves. And so to see them together in the ring, I like the difference between them, but it works. It works, and I'm so happy for Ricochet. I'm surprised that they gave Ricochet the title so soon. He hasn't been a competitor in WWE, the main rosters, for that long. But he's really proven himself in the short time that he's been here, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see where this title is going to go next.
I think Ricochet has put his time in NXT, but he also did perform as a professional wrestler in other brands unrelated to WWE before this. So I think he's a tenured athlete, and this was his time to shine, and he did just that, and hopefully he keeps the title for a while. I hate these quick title changes that happen. I want someone to keep the title. This is not the 24/7 title. This is the United States title. Keep it on him.
A match that I was super excited for was the Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler match, which was a steel cage match. When I think of steel cage matches, I think of the competitors climbing up the steel cage, jumping off the side, kind of like when Shane McMahon and The Miz fought. I didn't think that was a great match, but the way that they did it, they really utilized the steel cage. And Kofi and Dolph really didn't utilize the steel cage as much as I would hope. The way that Kofi won was out of the door, which was very suspenseful, the very ending. But there's just so many different things that they could do with a steel cage match that they didn't. And that was kind of disappointing to me because they're both great competitors, especially Kofi Kingston. I'm glad that he won because it didn't seem like he was going to win the entire time. But there was just more they could have done.
Isn't there always? I think a pro about a steel cage match is that you can use it as a weapon. And obviously, we didn't see that in this match, which is unfortunate, or we didn't see a lot of it, as other matches have had. I think it was good that they put a stipulation on this match. I think WWE has started to really not have these stipulation matches like they used to. We always used to see steel cage matches, Hell in a Cell, tables, ladders, and chairs.
Even though the women had their own first ever steel cage match on NXT last week.
I think WWE is just different in that sense now. Back in the day, it seemed like they only did these stipulation matches on pay-per-views, and now they're doing them on, the weekly shows, and we don't see them as much on the pay-per-views. I don't really know how to feel about that. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I wish that they did it more on the pay-per-views just because it gives someone a reason to watch. It's something different. If you have a steel cage match on Monday Night Raw, and then, you have a tables, ladders, and chairs or a no disqualification match on SmackDown, what are you saving for the pay-per-view? Why should someone spend 3 hours of their night or their day to watch a pay-per-view and it's like just regular wrestling matches? Now, mind you, I know that the wrestlers are very talented, but people love the stipulations.
So I want to go off track a little bit from the pay-per-view. I want to talk about how the women in NXT had their first ever steel cage match. I think that this is amazing, but it's weird that it wasn't during a pay-per-view like you just said, like NXT TakeOver or any other pay-per-view that NXT is involved in. They could have saved it for then. So this steel cage match had Shayna Baszler against Io Shirai, and Shayna did defend her title, but it was a good steel cage match in my opinion. They used the ring, they used the steel cage. It's everything I expect from a steel cage match.
So you're saying that they showed the men from this pay-per-view how to use a steel cage?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
I drink to that.
A match that I really liked was the SmackDown Women's Championship match, which included the champion Bayley defending her title against Alexa Bliss. This whole dynamic is interesting. Bayley ended up picking up the win in the match, so she still has her championship. This whole dynamic with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, I don't know how to feel about it. It kind of reminds me of Mickie James and Trish Stratus in 2006 when Mickie James was like this obsessed fan and she loved Trish Stratus and she would run out to the ring and I think it's just like the way that Nikki Cross stands at the ring and like watches Alexa's matches that gives me
so excited.
The obsession vibe.
Yeah.
Like slowly but surely, like they could go to that, but I don't know if WWE is willing to, go back 13 years and bring back a storyline. I think it'd be a great storyline. People loved it back in the day. It was interesting. That's why everyone loves Mickie James so much now, is because she's so versatile, but yet we don't see her on TV every week. Yes, that is shade, put Mickie on TV. But it was a good match. Unfortunately, we didn't see Sasha. This is starting to make me really sad.
She is still missing. I feel bad for her. Like, I wonder if they're telling her, like, please come back, like, we need you on the show, or if they're just like, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. Like, I wonder what they're sending her that she won't come back to.
From a business standpoint, I feel like WWE is not telling her, please come back, we need you. They have other women on the roster that, if need be, they can put in Sasha's spot and can do perfectly well. They have Ember Moon on the roster. Have they used her? No. That's if they're looking for someone of a minority to fill her spot. That's what I'm trying to say. But I feel like they don't care at this point. I feel like WWE is kind of like, okay, well, if she doesn't want to be on TV, then we're not going to push her. Sasha's having the time of her life. She posts pictures with her dark hair. She don't give a okay? She is enjoying her life. She seems stress-free. Sis, do it, okay? But we want to see her in the ring. We're wondering where she's going next. We don't know what's going on with her contract. We don't know how long she has left. Is she going to come back and take Bayley's title? We don't know. Like there's just so much suspense. We have no idea what's going on. Call the police. Someone help us. Like, what the is going on in this SmackDown Live women's division? To the point where they had to get Alexa Bliss, who has not wrestled in a year consistently, to come in and get a title shot with Bayley. How does this happen? Wasn't she just on Raw?
Right. This is the one critique that I have about this. Bayley and Alexa have no storyline together. So the fact that this was on a pay-per-view makes no sense. Like, what is it advancing? Is it going to become a storyline?
Even the addition of Nikki Cross, like, it made no sense.
Right. Because Alexa and Nikki are very different competitors.
Right.
In the ring, out of the ring, all of it. So her, Bayley, Nikki makes no sense. They could have put someone who has a storyline, or they could have started a new storyline with Ember Moon, or anyone else that they're not utilizing right now.
We will see what happens with that, and we'll keep you updated right here on Wrestling Winedown. Make sure you bring your wine with you because this is going to be a long ride, okay?
You're going to need it. So the match of the night, the main event, was Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. Now, when I was watching this, I was drinking my wine. I was a little bit bored in the beginning. You know, it was a slow start, very slow start. And then all of a sudden, the count out happened, and, well, there was no count out because Lacey Evans decided that she was just going to change the rules mid-event.
Okay. Here's the thing. When we predicted this match, we thought that, of course, Brock Lesnar would be the special guest referee because it makes sense, right? And then we get Lacey Evans. WWE spoiled it days before the pay-per-view, and they put this picture up of Lacey Evans in her referee top, and everyone is just like,
why? How
random is this? They could have put me in there, and it probably would have made more sense than Lacey Evans. But then you kind of saw why they did it. You know, the whole thing with Lacey and Becky, and that leads me to question this whole thing with relationships in the WWE and stuff like that. And
like, imagine the strain that this puts on their relationship, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Like, now their relationship is so public and everyone's business, and Lacey Evans is in the middle of this, and it just, I don't see that going over well.
I think it will go over well. I actually took a poll on our Twitter the other day at WWDCAST, and I asked everyone what they thought about WWE incorporating couples into storylines. WWE has done this for years where they incorporate romantic storylines, whether it be real or kayfabe. So we've seen Edge and Lita with Matt Hardy. That was real. Psh, we knew everything in their relationship. We've seen King Booker and Queen Sharmell, who are actually married. We've seen the start of Brie and Daniel with Nikki, and we've seen CM Punk and AJ Lee. We've seen all these couples that have actually gone on to date in real life or are dating while they're in the storyline. 58 people voted in this survey, and this was close. I thought this was interesting. 38% are not a fan of the storylines incorporating real-life couples, but 36% likes it.
Okay.
And then there was the 26% they don't care.
Right.
I think it depends on how it's done. If it's done in a way where it's kind of subtle, it's not like the main thing that they're talking about, it works because then you still have the two competitors and you don't have the commentary team talking about, this is what I hated during the pay-per-view. Becky Lynch's boyfriend is defending his title later.
The man's man. I was just like, ew, like, I don't want to hear this.
Like, these people are real-life people outside of the ring. Of course they're going to be in relationships, and sometimes it does go into the storylines. But when you're not focusing on the competitor as herself and you're more focused on, well, what her man is doing later, that's when it's kind of like, I don't really know how to feel about it.
That's where I see this going, though. Like, I see it fine right now, like, they were sitting on the side of the ring. It was very cute. Like, she spanked his butt. Adorable, whatever. But I see this getting, like, more to a personal level where they could have a feud together. Or what if they break up and they still have to keep with this? Like, I'm so worried for them. I would not want my relationship to be public, and I wouldn't want it to be on TV. So, you know, if this is what they want, go them. I'm nervous.
You know what I think is interesting? When it was rumored that Becky and Seth were together, we saw them at the Hall of Fame months ago. A lot of people online did not think they were in a relationship. They thought that they were just messing around.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a storyline, and clearly they're not just messing around. They're in a full-fledged relationship, and people are going to love it. People are going to hate it. At the end of the day, WWE thinks they know what they're doing with this, and the fans are either going to want to tune in to watch Beck Seth, or they're going to turn off the TV and try and find something else to watch. We'll see what happens with it. I'm in the middle on it right now. I don't know how to feel. Like I said, it definitely shouldn't be the one thing that they're commentating about. I think that's kind of bullshit when you have a talented competitor and you're more focused on what her man is doing later. If someone is watching the pay-per-view, they know Seth Rollins is going to be on the main event since he's the Universal Champion. But let me grab my wine and let me just stop.
See, let me explain my point, though, because I don't know if it makes sense why I'm so nervous for them. The entire main event match, like you said, they were like Becky's boyfriend, the man's man. They were just talking about Becky the whole time. And the fact that they put Lacey Evans as the referee brings their relationship into it even when Becky and Seth aren't together. And it makes sense that, Becky ran out and
defended her man.
She did. She beat down on Lacey Evans, which, good for her. I'm happy about that because I don't think Seth would have won if it wasn't for Becky to come out because Lacey was, not being a fair referee.
She was not being a lady.
She was not. I had flashbacks to Money in the Bank when all the refs messed up. I was like, oh my God. But that's what I mean. Like, they're talking about the relationship even when their relationship shouldn't matter in the match.
We'll see how it goes. We're going to talk more about the direction of WWE in our Word on the Street today.
So some big things are happening.
A lot of changes are coming in the WWE. It was released this week that WWE named Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff executive directors of Raw and SmackDown Live. These two characters have been in the wrestling business for a very long time. Paul Heyman has been in the business for more than 30 years. He served as the president of ECW from 93 to 2001. He's had ties to ECW. You think of ECW, you think of Paul Heyman. His mic skills are still evident. Even today, he is the advocate of the reigning, undisputed, whatever, Brock Lesnar, and he's also worked with CM Punk in the past. Eric Bischoff was the WCW president at one time, and he oversaw the signing of some of the biggest names in sports entertainment and also helped and develop the iconic NWO storyline. So these two have experience working as a executive position in WWE. What does this mean with them bringing them in now? I think it's a little bit weird with Paul Heyman since he still does have ties to WWE when it comes to on-screen stuff with Brock Lesnar. We just saw him on the pay-per-view. Meanwhile, Eric Bischoff, he hasn't really been on WWE television in an active storyline. So I think that will work out a little bit better because he doesn't have anything to kind of leave behind. I don't know if Paul Heyman's going to leave being an advocate for Brock Lesnar behind.
He's so good at it. It's so funny every time he comes out. But the reaction that I saw online were very split. Some people were so excited. They were like, oh my God, the good old days. And then some people were like, why? Why would they do this? But I saw this one comment. I don't remember who it was from. It was something around the lines of, what does this mean? And someone else responded like, it means WWE's going to be popping again. Like, Paul Heyman is the reason that WWE was popping in the 2000s. So I hope that he gets creative control and he does good things with the creative control.
Well, he's been on creative. He's been a part of the creative team for many years now, but
now he has, more power.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they still have to answer to Vince McMahon, and we've heard all these stories about the whole writing process and the creative team process. So it should be interesting to see if there's any type of change. I think they really do need it right now, and they did it because their fiscal quarter is over, and they need to figure out a game plan. They see AEW slowly starting to tailgate them, and they're about to pass them up. To be quite honest with you, AEW's announcing pay-per-views like they are
Oprah.
Like they're Oprah. They're giving everyone a pay-per-view. We have Fyter Fest coming up. We have All Out coming up in September, and
everything is selling out so fast.
Yes, and these matches that they're announcing, they're kind of correlating with WWE. People are feeling some type of way about that. WWE has announced another event that is falling on the same day as an AEW event. So NXT TakeOver in the UK is taking place the same day as AEW's All Out, which is in September. And then this week, WWE announced Evolve 131, which has featured WWE talent in the past, including Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole. On this pay-per-view, we'll see Akira Tozawa and Drew Gulak, as well as Adam Cole and Matt Riddle. But this event is taking place the same day as AEW's Fight for the Fallen showcase, which is giving their proceeds back to victims of gun violence. And Kenny Omega, who is an active member of the AEW roster, sent out a tweet and delete. He sent it, and then he deleted it.
Our faves.
I love it. You know, you change in 5 minutes. I know I do. Like, I'm a new person. So
he did some
said,
self-reflecting in that time.
Yes. So he said, if lining your pockets with blood money is okay, then what's wrong with trying to undermine a charity show for victims of gun violence? I hear that healthy competition is supposed to be a good thing, and yet I can't help but feel like I'm going to be sick. And then people were mad. People were wondering, well, why did WWE plan this event on the same day as a charity show? And then other people are like, well, you can support both products. And then Kenny Omega deleted the tweet and people kind of stopped talking about it. But I think this brings up the main thing that we've been really talking about over the past couple episodes. Is this slowly but surely leading to a war between the two? AEW is slated to begin their weekly show coming up in the fall. SmackDown is moving to Fox in the fall. What's going on? Like, do you think now, are you starting to think it's a war? We have 2 pay-per-views or 2 events from these companies on the same day with each other. Do you think that it's like some friendly competition, or do you think better have my money step up to the plate?
So my first thought is these are 2 different brands. Do you think they're really talking to each other? Like, this is when I'm planning this, and this is when I'm planning this, and like maybe it just like happened that way?
No, I don't think so. Some of these things are not being scheduled on the same day. It's like one will schedule it, and then they'll be like, by the way, we're actually having a pay-per-view. It's the same day. Yeah. So I think sometimes it has to do with, oh, it's, you know, a weird coincidence, or, oh, this happened, but...
So that was my first initial thought. Like, oops, maybe it was an accident. And then I thought about it more, and you're right. Like, they're on TV networks. These TV networks know what's going on. So, you know, I think it may be leading into a war. But the point is, like, more and more people are getting into wrestling because of this, because they have more options to watch. While it may be leading into war, I don't think it should be, because people can support both. They can support one. Like, it doesn't really matter. They're not the same wrestlers on each brand, so they can go for a variety. Like, if they want to watch Dean Ambrose's old stuff one day, they can do that. And if they want to watch Jon Moxley's new stuff, they can do that too. I don't know. People just get so hyped up and rowdy for no reason, and I think that this is one of those cases where do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Like, just have fun, watch whatever you want. I don't know. That's my thought on that.
I agree. You know, you can support WWE, you can support AEW, you can support both of them, or you could support none of them. At the end of the day, these companies are still going to run, and they're still going to have fans that are either going to support them, and, you know, even if you hate them and you still watch their pay-per-views, you're still supporting them.
Right.
So,
or even talking about them,
right.
Like, you're supporting them.
Yes.
The one thing that I did notice that I think is giving AEW the upper hand on some of these pay-per-views is they're not charging $60 this time. I think that it was like $10 or something, like much lower like that. Yeah. So that's going to draw in a lot more viewers as well.
Right. You have the WWE Network starting at $9.99 a month. You get your first 3 months free. This is not an ad. You get a pay-per-view or 2 pay-per-views. People love that shit. They eat it up. But then I've heard this from a lot of people. They don't think the network's worth it, because you have your older stuff on the network, matches from back in the day or pay-per-views from back in the day. You have your different segments that they have, like the different shows, and then you have like the regularly scheduled programming of Raw and SmackDown and NXT and all that. A lot of people don't think it's worth it, even though there's a lot of content on it. Now, I personally think it is worth it. $10 isn't a lot a month. It stacks up over time. Mm-hmm. And then you think about the AEW pay-per-view, and it's one event. It's one event for 3 hours for $60, but then you have the network that is $10, and you have access to all of this stuff. Now, AEW might end up doing that one day. They don't have the collection of stuff to do that right now.
Right, absolutely. No, right. I think that they will lead into that, but honestly, I didn't watch the last AEW pay-per-view because it was $60,
Right.
and I am a broke so it just wasn't, I'm not going to say it wasn't worth it to me, but it wasn't financially worth
I
it
think
to
the
me.
quality of wrestling that they presented was worth $60, but if you don't have $60 to give to a pay-per-view, then you're not going to go out of your way to try and watch it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so $10 a month, I can do. Whatever. The Undertaker is back again. This time in a tag team with Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. Side note, Shane McMahon needs to be off of these weekly shows. I am tired of seeing him all the time, but that's beside the point. Why is he back?
Well, reportedly, The Undertaker chose Drew McIntyre as his Extreme Rules opponent. Like, handpicked him out of everyone. I think it's a great choice, but we are getting tired of Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns in the same match. I just said this last week. I said Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns need to stop with these storylines. They deserve better. So you know what they did? They put Undertaker in the match and they put Shane McMahon in the match. What the is going on?
What a combination. It makes no sense. But
Someone actually tweeted us last week after they booked this match, and I tweeted, who booked this match? Krista D. Bryant, she is a part of those wrestling girls, had tweeted us and said that she's not mad about the match. She thinks it's a passing of the torch kind of match, which I hope it is, because we've seen The Undertaker keep going on and on and on and on, and as I've said numerous times before, this needs to stop. I think after the terrible match with Goldberg at the last Saudi Arabia event, where there were so many botches that I was seriously worried that someone was going to get injured. Side note, I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I saw the viral videos after they botched. But I think WWE felt like, we're not going to leave The Undertaker on this note. Well, if y'all would have left him on the note of him leaving his coat and his hat in the ring, we would have been good with that. They just keep bringing him back and back and back. And now it just doesn't make sense because he's with Roman Reigns. And he had that long storyline with Roman at WrestleMania where Roman said it's his yard now. And The Undertaker's like, please. So then they wrestled and then Roman won. And that's when he put his coat in the ring. We thought he was done.
that would have been a great ending.
It would have, but now we see him teaming with Roman. I need consistency in my life. Wine is consistent, but I feel like this match and the whole process that they're doing with The Undertaker is not.
Honestly, you can say that again. But the thing that I do like about this match, that old WWE versus new WWE.
But we've seen Roman and Drew McIntyre 84 times now.
Right. But now we have, like, you know, the two other competitors
I'm just
coming
worried.
in here.
I'm just worried.
I'm also worried. It'll be interesting to see how this goes in just a couple weeks.
I do hope this is a passing of the torch match, because Undertaker and Shane, they've been in this ring for a really long time, and they have kids, they have wives. Like, at some point, you just have to stop. And I feel like with The Undertaker, he should have stopped when he left his coat in the ring, like I said. But Shane, we're seeing him weekly on TV. We've seen him as an integral part of this storyline, and it doesn't make any sense. It just needs to stop.
He's just moving from competitor to competitor. Like, he was with The Miz just a couple weeks ago, and now he's with Drew McIntyre. It should be really interesting to see how this match evolves at Extreme Rules.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and wherever else you listen to your podcast.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at WWDcast. That is at WWDCAST.
Let us know what you thought about the episode. What was your favorite part?
We upload episodes every Saturday.
Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!